In this lesson, we're going to be talking about normal distribution. Let's look at this example. The average waiting time to be seated at a popular restaurant in town is 23.5 minutes, with a standard deviation of 3.6 minutes. Assume the variable is normally distributed. When a customer arrives for dinner, find the probability that the customer will have to wait for the following times. A. Less than 18 minutes. Let's get started. First, we go to add-ins, MegaStat, and for this normal distribution, we go down to property or probability and then go to normal distribution. I click on normal distribution. When I click on normal distribution, the normal distribution window comes up or dialog box comes up. I'm just going to move it over here. First thing I want to do is I want to clear this because this is just showing what I did last time. So I'm just going to click on the clear button here. Okay, so put everything back to default. And what I need to do is fill out this information. First thing I need to fill out is my mean. So I go back to my question and I find my mean, which is 23.5. So I'll type in 23.5. Next is my standard deviation, which is 3.6. 3.6. Okay. And what I want is what is the probability that the customer will have to wait less than 18 minutes? So my x, okay, my x is 18. Now, we want less than 18 minutes. So what we want to do is under shading, okay, I'm actually looking for, okay, the probability of 18 or lower than or less than. So I have to make sure my shading is on lower than. Some of the other options available is I want to show the center line. So I do want to show the center line or the 50% line. My axis labels is at the bottom of the axis. What do I want to show? Z, X, or none. In this example, I want to see my X. Okay, my X is my 18, mean, etc. My numbers. Okay? And the last thing we want to do here is our color. Okay, what kind of color do you want to show for the lower probability? Do you want a solid color, transparent, pattern, etc.? I'm just going to keep it be default at solid color. Let's click OK. And I'm just going to zoom in here just to make it a little bit easier for us to see. And it's showing us that our mean, okay, I'm just going to change this just a little bit here, but it's not showing us, oops, where is it? It's not showing us the actual numbers we typed in. Remember, our mean was 23.5, our standard deviation was 3.6, and what we're looking for is what's the probability that a customer will have to wait less than 18 minutes. So the probability that our customer will have to wait less than 18 minutes, okay, 18 minutes is here, and the customer will have to wait less than, which is this dark area here, is actually indicated by our lower area, which is 0.0633. I'm just going to highlight this area just so it's a little bit easier, and it clearly shows our answer. So what's the probability that the person or the customer has to wait less than 18 minutes is 6.33%. Let's go on to our next question. I'm just going to change this, rename it, we'll call it A. And let's go on to our next question, B. What is the probability that the customer will have to wait more than 28.2 minutes? So again, let's go back to add-ins, MegaStat, probability, and normal distribution. I'm just going to move this dialog box over a little bit. This time I want more than 28.2 minutes. So I have to change my X to 28.2. My mean and standard deviation are still the same. Don't have to do anything there. I don't need to play around with any of these options. But what I do need to change now is my shading. What am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for the probability of more than or greater than. So I'm looking actually for the upper part of my probability. And I can still keep it here as solid color, or just for example, I'll change it to a pattern format. So in this example, my mean is 23.5, standard deviation is 3.6, and I want the probability that the wait time for our average customer will be more than, greater than, okay, the upper limit of 28.2. Let's click on OK. And I'll just zoom in here just so you can see it a little bit easier. Here, MegaStat has created my 28.2, the area I'm looking for, and the probability of greater than, more than 28.2 minutes. So the probability that the average waiting time will be more than 28.2 minutes is the upper limit. And let me just highlight that so we can see it a little bit clearer. So the probability that the average customer will have to wait more than 28.2 minutes is approximately 0.0959 or about 9.59%. Now, just to show you that we can't put this as percentage, I'm just going to change it to a percentage here and increase my decimal. Okay. And let me change this to question B. And the last one we want to do is a between. What will be the probability of an average customer waiting between 25 and 18 minutes to be seated? Again, very easy to do with MegaStat. Let's go back to add-ins, MegaStat, probability, normal distribution. And what I want to do is, when you ever have a between, what I like to do is I like to do the greater than, the larger number first. So in this case, I want to do the 25 first, and then I'll do the 18. Okay? So my x will be 25, so I'll change that to 25. The mean and standard deviation is still the same. No changes in any of the options here. And since 25 is the larger number, I will go for the upper limit here. Okay? And just for example, I'll make sure the upper limit will be solid color. It doesn't have to be, it can be patented, anything, but I'm just going to keep it solid color. Okay? So once again, I'm looking for my x to be 25. Mean standard deviation is still the same, and I'm looking for the upper limit of my probability. Let's click OK. And I'll just zoom in a little bit here. And what it's showing me is, what is the probability that the average waiting time will be greater than 25? Well, it'll be 33.85%. What's the probability that the average waiting time will be less than 25? Is approximately 66.15%. But wait a minute, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for between 25 and 18. So what we need to do is go back to our MegaStat output here, and what we need to do is do another MegaStat, but this time with x, instead of being 25, we need to do it with 18. So let me show you what we need to do. I go back to MegaStat, and I don't go back to probability and normal distribution. Instead, what I do is I go to this new option. If you notice, it's about 2/3 of the way down. It says repeat last option. Okay, repeat last option. I click on that, and what that does is bring back exactly what I did the last time I used MegaStat. So in this example, I had x at 25, mean and standard deviation was at 23.5 and 3.6%. Okay, and I did a upper. What I want to do now is I want to do x equals 18. Now, if you notice here, I have a new option. If you notice here, it says overlay and it's check marked. What this will do is it will overlay or put on top of this diagram a new one for x equals 18. Now, since I want x equals 18, I want the lower limit. Okay, I want the lower limit for x equals 18. And I want to change it to pattern. I want something a little bit different for my coloring. Okay, my upper limit was solid, so I'm going to have my lower limit as patterned. Click on OK, and what it does is it puts on this new graph on top of. Okay, let me just re-emphasize that, on top of the old one. So my old one is still here with the 25, and I have a new graph on top of it with my 18. And oops, let me just cancel that function. What is the probability that it will be less than 18 minutes? It is approximately 6%. So what I need to do now is I want to find the probability. Well, what's the probability that it will be less than 25 minutes? 66%. So that 66% is actually all the area from here to the left of the 25. So it compromises, or it incorporates all this area plus this area. Okay, so everything from here left is 66.15%. Now, we don't want this entire area. Okay, I want this area, but I don't want this area. So what I want to do is I want to take the 66.15% and minus this small area here. And this small area here is represented by less than 18, which is 0.0633. So what I need to do is go equal sign 66.15 minus 0.0633, and my answer, what is the area between 25 and 18, is actually 59.83 or 0.5983. And I'm just going to highlight that to show you the answer.